Tonight, when the last light disappears, you can lock your door, switch on a lamp, and close your eyes knowing the darkness will probably leave you alone. For most of human history, night offered no such promise. The moment the sun dropped below the horizon, the world changed hands. Vision became unreliable. Familiar landscapes vanished. Creatures that had spent the day hidden began to move. Survival no longer depended only on how well you hunted, but on whether you had prepared before darkness arrived. For thousands of generations, humans faced the same question every evening. What happens when the world you understand disappears? At first, it seems like ancient people simply endured the night. They found shelter, waited for sunrise, and repeated the cycle again the next day. Yet archaeology suggests something far more surprising. Early human sites reveal carefully chosen shelters, shared hearths, and living spaces organized around protection and cooperation. These were not people surrendering to darkness. They were learning how to reshape it. The night was becoming something far more important than anyone had imagined, and that raises a much deeper question. If darkness covered nearly half of every day for thousands of generations, was the night really just a pause between moments of survival? Or was it one of the hidden forces that helped create the humans we became? Preparing for night often began long before the sun disappeared. For ancient humans, sunset was not simply the end of the day. It was a deadline. Every decision made while there was still light could determine whether the group survived the hours ahead. Where they stopped mattered. A campsite was not chosen because it was comfortable. It needed the right balance between safety and survival, nearby resources, access to firewood, and a landscape where danger could be detected before it was too late. But choosing a campsite was not only about finding safety. It was about predicting danger before danger arrived. Ancient humans were not simply reacting to the environment they were studying. They were reading landscapes, understanding patterns, and making decisions based on what might happen hours later. But archaeologists discovered something surprising. Early, humans were not just looking for places to hide. They were choosing places that allowed them to control the night. For a long time, people imagined our ancestors living almost permanently inside caves, protected from the dangerous world outside. But the evidence tells a more interesting story. Caves were used in some regions because they offered shelter, but many human groups also created temporary camps in open landscapes, returning to places that provided the right combination of resources, protection, and opportunity. They were not escaping the environment. They were learning how to work with it. And then researchers noticed another important change. At ancient campsites, fire began appearing again and again. Hearths became more carefully maintained there. Locations became more central. The fire was no longer just something that happened to be there. It became the center of human life at first. Its purpose seems obvious. Fire provided warmth. It helped cook food. It pushed back dangerous animals. But the deeper researchers looked, the more they realized something unexpected. The greatest transformation caused by fire may not have happened during the day. It happened after the sun went down. Fire did more than push back the darkness. It changed what humans could do once darkness arrived. During the day, survival demanded action. Finding food, making tools, moving through the landscape, protecting the group. But after sunset, something different began to happen. People gathered. They stayed in one place. And for the first time, humans had a space where survival was not the only thing occupying their minds. Studies of modern hunter-gatherer communities suggest that evenings are often when stories, memories, and traditions become most important. And for ancient humans, stories were not simply entertainment. They were survival tools before writing existed. Knowledge lived inside human voices. A warning about a dangerous valley, a memory of where water could be found during a dry season. a lesson about which plants healed and which ones could kill a child sitting. Beside the fire was not just listening to a story, they were inheriting thousands of years of experience. But something even more important was happening. The fire created a place where humans could share things that could not be touched or seen, ideas, memories, dreams, possibilities. But perhaps the most surprising thing about these conversations is that they may not have only been about the past around the fire. Humans could imagine what had not happened yet. They could plan for future seasons, prepare for possible dangers, imagine outcomes before they occurred. The fire was not only preserving memory, it was helping create the ability to think. Beyond the present moment, the campfire became more than a source of heat. It became a classroom, meeting place, and perhaps one of the first places where the human imagination began to grow. Because when people looked into the flames at night, they were no longer only asking, how do we survive until morning? They were beginning to ask bigger questions. Why is the world the way it is? What exists beyond what we can see? And what does it mean to be human? But this creates another mystery. If the fire transformed what happened before sleep, were ancient humans really sleeping through the entire night the way we do today? Or did darkness create another hidden part of human life? For thousands of years, humans did not experience the night as one uninterrupted block of darkness, the way we sleep today alone. Indoors, protected from the outside world, is a very recent chapter in human history. For ancient people, sleep was something different. It happened inside. Group, near a fire, surrounded by people who were facing the same uncertainty. Imagine a small human camp thousands of years ago. The flames have become smaller. The voices have faded. Most of the group is asleep. Outside the circle of light, the landscape has disappeared. And then a sound. A branch breaking, leaves moving, the wind suddenly changing direction. Every sound carries a question. Is it nothing? Or is something approaching? For someone living in the ancient world, waking during the night was not necessarily a problem. It may have been part of survival. A person who opened their eyes at the right moment could check the fire, listen to the surroundings, or warn the group before danger reached them. The night was not defeated by one person staying awake. It was managed through cooperation. Some rested, some remained aware. Together, the group created something no individual could create alone. Protection. And this may have changed something deeper about human beings. Unlike many animals that survive through individual strength, humans depended on connection. Trust shared. Responsibility. The darkness outside. The fire did not just create fear. It created a reason for humans to rely on each other. And perhaps that is why the night became more than a dangerous part of the day. It became a place where bonds were strengthened, stories were shared, and human minds continued working long after the world became silent. But there was still one mystery left. When humans sat together in the darkness, surrounded by things they could not see, what happened inside their minds? Because the greatest discovery of the night may not have been how humans survived. The darkness outside, it may have been what the darkness created inside them. But beyond the warmth of the fire, beyond the stories and shared moments, the night carried another force that shaped human behavior for thousands of generations. Fear, not the kind of fear created by imagination. Alone, a real awareness that humans were not the strongest creatures moving through the ancient landscape. During the day, humans could use intelligence, tools, and cooperation to survive among animals. Much larger and faster than themselves, they could track prey, avoid danger, read the landscape. But darkness changed the balance. Many predators were built for the night. Their eyes adapted to low light. Their hearing was sharper. Their movements became almost invisible beyond the edge of the fire. For an early human sitting beside a small flame, The darkness outside was not empty space. It was a world filled with things they could sense but could not fully understand. And perhaps that created one of humanity's most important abilities. The ability to imagine. When humans faced something they could not see, the mind began searching for answers. What made that sound? What was moving beyond the firelight? What existed beyond the world they could observe? The same imagination that helped humans understand unseen dangers also allowed them to create stories, symbols, and ideas about the unknown. The darkness was frightening, but it was also a mystery, and mysteries force the human mind to explore. Around the fire, people were not only protecting their bodies, they were building something invisible, shared. Memories, Tom and stories, a way of explaining a world that was much larger than themselves. The night may have been one of the first places where humans began turning uncertainty into meaning, and that changed everything, because humans were no longer just surviving the environment. Around them, they were creating an inner world of ideas, possibilities, and imagination. The darkness outside the fire may have helped create the light inside the human mind, and that may be one of the greatest transformations in our entire history. The night was never just the absence of sunlight. It was the place where humans began discovering themselves.